So my name is Ranime. I have recently made the jump to entrepreneurship, so I'm here to cover the spectrum, from the seasoned entrepreneur to the very new entrepreneur. I did have 7 years at McKinsey, and then I did private equity. I got my MBA from HBS, and then a year and a half ago, I had my own problem, which is I wanted to invest in real estate, didn't know how to start or what to do and how to go about it. And then my co-founder and I started thinking about it and trying to find an idea of how to do it. We're very analytical people, but we didn't know how to start. I built a massive Excel model, and I still didn't get to a result or a number that I was happy with. Finance, consulting, how it goes. So we started looking into, a potential solution, and this is where machine learning and AI came as a solution. So we built a solution where we find the best properties and in real estate investment, and then we guide people through the investment process. So right now in Dubai, for example, we scan the entire market. We clean all of the opportunities, we rank them, we score them, and then we identify the best investment opportunities, and then we present them to our customers, and then we guide them through the process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel Priestley. I live in London. I'm visiting Dubai. I'm an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, whereas you've come out of the top end of town. I've come up from the weeds. I dropped out of university and started a company about 20 years ago. Since then, I think I've started 7 different companies around the world. Some of them services, some of them are tech businesses, and I've written some books on business strategy. As it relates to AI, I got into AI a few years ago. I was an angel investor in a company that now represents 8% of OpenAI's traffic or spend through their API, which was a really great opportunity. And I invested in a robot that produces artworks and tries to simulate creativity, and that's actually exhibited in the Abu Dhabi Louvre and has traveled around the world. That robot has done some travel that I envy as well. I've got a couple of AI startups at the moment. So I've got one called ScoreApp, which just won the Scale Up Entrepreneur of the Year last week. So it's a fast scaling AI startup. It's in the marketing technology space. And we're just about to launch something called BookMagic.ai, which is a consumer tech product for anyone who wants to write a book. And the AI acts as a writing assistant to support people who want to write a book. And we've got a great waiting list going where people can't wait to start using it. So we're about to launch it in January.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So we do have a bunch of Daniel's books here as well, which he'll be giving away after today's panel. Now, it's not going to be too long a panel. What I really want to do is just kind of whet everybody's appetite on the subject and give everybody a State of the Union. And maybe one of the best places to start, if you would both be so kind, is to give folks in the room a framing of AI. So what is the State of the Union? I think we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of ChatGPT 3.5 on November the 30th. So happy birthday. Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow. And so that's something to celebrate. But this is a safe space. This is a safe room where everybody's kind of been hand selected. If you would argue that maybe your current understanding of AI and the impact of AI is, 6 out of 10 or below, just raise your hand for me. So I would say that's about half the room. So maybe if you could possibly kindly frame the State of the Union when it comes to AI, and then Daniel, you can fill in any blanks. Thank you.
Sure. So just to demystify AI, I know that we said that the birthday of ChatGPT is in the next week or so. However, AI have started 50 years ago. I think we are right now beginning to hear about Gen AI. But if we look into machine learning and AI and the different applications of this, that started a very long time ago. I actually read the other day that the co-founder of Pixar studied artificial intelligence in college. So that was already a very big theme. I think, again, as we said, Gen AI is currently becoming the hype, and there are so many applications that are coming out of it. But if we look at a lot of other applications, so right now what we do, for example, is we touch upon Gen AI, but there's a lot of the things that we do, which is more what I want to call traditional AI or machine learning. And this is understanding For me, it's just a very strong processor, a very big brain that allows you to make connections that us with our human brain are not able to do that. Like as an example for us, for example, if we want to look at the fair market value of a property, what currently you can do is you can look at 2-3 other properties and then understand what is their fair market value. What a machine can do, or what artificial intelligence can do, is can understand over 30 factors that impact what the price of that property is. And then you start understanding what, given currently the mortgage rate, given the inflation, given the position of it, etc. So all of those go into the machine learning. You train the model, you spend a lot of time training the model, and it becomes less and less opaque as you start understanding it. But then it's able to give you a number that you, as a normal human being, no matter how smart you are, you're unable to do it via a simple method that we have. So this is as a quick introduction. I do believe that there are a lot of also discussions, maybe this is something we can talk about how ethical it is, or how much we can depend on it. Or I think one of the biggest learnings for me is for artificial intelligence, it's all about the quality of the data. So I keep hearing this and I really believe in it. If it's garbage in, it's garbage out. So you just need to be very careful about what you feed the model, what you feed, what you feed the artificial intelligence, to make sure that you get something valuable out of it. And this goes all into the discussion of morality and then the ethics behind it.
Yeah. So I'll go to say that what happened a year ago was that it went from a niche technology to a general purpose technology. And a general purpose technology is something that impacts everything. So, when the phone comes out, the smartphone comes out, that's general purpose technology. When the PC arrives on people's desk, that kind of changes everything. When electricity gets invented and suddenly they put down a grid and everyone can electrify their homes, that is a general purpose technology that's going to transform the way the home works. And so throughout all of history, there's been general purpose technologies that have come in and fundamentally changed humanity, or changed society, changed the economy. And this is one of those. So what happened 12 months ago is a significant event, that it went from a niche piece of technology to a general purpose technology. And that's the seismic shift that's happened. And it's important, who here in the room is an entrepreneur or business leader? I think most of you. It's really important that you don't sit this one out. This one's going to be a big one. So you might have said, oh yeah, this social media thing, I'm going to see what happens. And then you look back 10 years later and go, oh, I should have probably been an early adopter with the social media thing. I would have been a famous YouTuber right now and, had the world at my feet, or something like that. Maybe you look at smartphones and you think to yourself, in hindsight, how did I miss that? How did I miss smartphones? Why didn't I do more with apps and smartphone technology and all that sort of stuff? Some of us didn't miss it at all, right? But this particular technology, this is going to totally transform every industry, economies, how we work, all of those sorts of things. AI, when it figures out how to do something, it goes from not knowing how to do it to, in many cases, it goes to knowing how to do it the best in the world, and then it makes that available for free everywhere in the world. So a classic example would be playing chess. In the morning, it doesn't know how to play chess. In the afternoon, it learns how to play chess and then surpasses all human chess players who have ever lived, from like it taught itself and then figured it out and then became great. And then it knows how to beat everyone at chess everywhere in the world all at once for free. And then if you say, well, that's cool if it's chess, that's no big deal. But what if it's law? What if it's medicine? What if it is strategy? What if it's anything that we currently do on a typewriter, on a keyboard and a screen? And that's kind of what we're looking at as we go into 2024.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So there's one question I want to ask to ensure that everybody has access to at least the same learning or data set, which is that, could you share a little bit about where you've learned the most about AI? Of course, it's part of your business, but if there are any kind of resources or YouTube channels that you found to be particularly useful. And the reason why I ask this is that even though half of this room is very familiar with AI and the other half is still onboarding with the technology, it can often be the case that even if you've kind of spent a lot of time with the technology, that there might be a resource out there. So if anybody wants to kind of get that framing and maybe use that as as a starter base to maybe launch their own initiative or integrate AI into their business like we're teaching people at the moment through contentstrategy.ai, what would be the resources that you would point people to?
So I would say our friend Mo Gaudat has written a great book called Scary Smart, and then there's an amazing book, you interviewed the author recently, called Coming Wave. The Coming Wave is a good book. There's some YouTube channels like AI Explained, which break things down. I would really encourage you to subscribe to a series of YouTube channels or podcasts and just kind of let yourself geek out and go down the rabbit hole and just let it hit you and wash over you a bit. So that you kind of bring yourself up to speed. You're not that late, right? It's a fast-moving field, but actually, the big breakthroughs are happening, and you can actually catch up pretty quickly and find out a good working knowledge of what AI is doing and what it's capable of, and what's the what are the latest challenges or the latest breakthroughs. So YouTube is a great place to start with that.
And actually, right now in Dubai, if you're in Dubai, there's always, every other week, there is an event about AI. They talk about this. They go deep into it. So if you're less about reading it yourself, you can attend all of these conferences. MIT Sloan had one 3 weeks ago as part of GITEX. There was a little bit of conversation. So literally every single event that's happening in Dubai right now has they're shining a light on AI, and there's always amazing keynote speakers that are coming in, discussing this a little bit more. So that's also helpful.
Thank you so much. Okay, so last two questions before St. Regis bring out some wonderful canapes. From my perspective, I have to ask one selfish question, which is that we've seen a huge impact since AI, at least in the last year, to your point, since ChatGPT 3.5 and generative AI, which helps you generate a whole bunch of content assets like images and videos and text and audio. We've seen a big impact. How would you frame the impact that AI has had on content creation? Because it's our sincere belief that every single business is a content machine. Every single entrepreneur is a content creator. Even if your business is very stealth and runs completely on word of mouth, at some point you have to issue an invoice, and that is a piece of content, or send an email. So what would you say has been the impact of AI on content creation in the content industry?
I think one of the biggest benefits of AI has been productivity, and then how productivity has changed massively so it's not just, it doesn't have to be client facing that you use AI. It can be in your every day at the office. I was there when they were piloting actually Microsoft AI Copilot, and it's impressive what AI can do right now. It can go from summarizing meetings to highlighting emotions in meetings to actually giving you the high-level bullet points. It can go from a 200-slide PowerPoint to a 3-slide PowerPoint summary. So there's a lot of productivity improvement there. There's also, it can always be a good starting point. I'm not saying that AI is replacing content creation, but it's always an amazing starting point for us to, we start with these conversations. It's a conversation starter. It's also a project starter. It's always a good, it basically just is a first step towards where we want to go in a lot of the things we do.
So I would say that what's going to happen is that society is going to become very divided because of AI. And what's going to happen is, if you think about it like this, there's two superpowers that AI has. Superpower number one is the ability to get you to consume way more content than you intended. Who's on TikTok, right? Who's ever had an experience of I think I'll just check the TikTok for 5 minutes, and then 5 hours later, you're still scrolling TikTok. So the average TikTok user scrolls the height of the Eiffel Tower with their thumb every week or every couple of weeks, right? So the AI is figuring out what you like to look at. It builds a model of what you like, and then while you're watching one piece of content, it's testing 1,000 pieces of content against the AI version of you, right? And then it's figuring out which performed better, and then it's showing you the best of the best, and it's picking up everything that it can from around the internet. And what's coming is its ability to then just create more of that content. So it doesn't even have to have other people create it. It can create it itself, or it can find AI creators. So what will sadly happen is that the vast majority of people will, like some chess, an AI chess is always going to win. An AI chess player will always beat a human. what will happen is that all of these social media platforms and content creation platforms are going to get so damn good at roping you in to spend more time, to watch more, listen to more, buy more, subscribe more, like more, right? So it's going to do that. And most people will get sucked in by it because AI will win every time. And then there's a tiny group of people who are very hyper creative types of people naturally. They already create lots. And AI is giving them the second superpower, which is the superpower to create way faster. So we're going to start seeing little tiny companies of 10 people who do 50 million worth of revenue. And we're going to see 10-person companies that produce huge amounts of output and content and create. And they're only like, you'll think of these companies as hundreds of people, and then you'll go and look behind the scenes and it's only like 10 hyper creative people. So AI gives this superpower to create more and to consume more. And unfortunately, you can't do both. You can't be a creator and a consumer at the same time. So what's going to happen is it'll drive a wedge through society. And I really want to encourage you, now that you know that that's going to happen, do whatever you possibly can to be on the creator side of the wedge. And secondly, don't at all assume that there is any amount of human level self-control that can self-regulate an experience with AI. You don't have the power to interact with AI on a level playing field. It's not possible. You can't beat it at chess. You can't outperform it at computer games or at driving. There's a experiment called Alpha Persuade where they ran an experiment where the AI was designed to try and get you talking about topics that you weren't aware that it was trying to get you to talk about, and it wins all the time. So it's highly persuasive. It's going to beat you. The only real way is to not interact with it. So delete TikTok, delete all of those platforms, get them off your phone, right? Outsource it to someone else whose job is to upload your content, because if you interact with it, it's going to grab you.
That's good.
Nice. Well, my final question was going to be on AI and ethics, because you did open that jar. But what I will do, anybody who's ever seen the end of any decent interview or any game show, there's a rapid fire round. So what I would say is, if somebody in the room has got a question that will help stimulate some more conversation, we'll just take two of them.
My name is Kai, and I wanted to ask Daniel about your new business that you said is a creative book AI platform. How ethical is it going to be when people who, of course, want to launch their ideas and have assistance with writing it, which at the moment that's obviously, people who do writing and editing and things like that in a human way. If people are now going to be creating books with AI, does that take away from like authenticity or authors who are writing from scratch? And I don't know. I'm just wondering. I know a lot of people who write, and it's an exciting thing. I'm involved in it myself, but it's also, how is that ethically, and will it be labeled, assisted by AI when you're buying that book, for example?
So, book writing has a long history, thousands of years, and it's gone through several iterations. And one of the first iterations was that only very, very, very elite people could publish anything, and only very, very, very elite people could read anything. And then there was more ubiquitous ability to read, and they published certain pieces that more and more people could read. And then with the Gutenberg press, they could publish more content, but it was still very only elite people who could publish, but then it was the masses that could consume. And where we are right now is we're going through another giant leap in publishing, which is the leap of anyone can publish. So it's the ability, and this has been going on for the last 10, 15 years, where Amazon has made it possible for anyone to come up with an idea and find a route to publishing a book on Amazon, which is a massive, like on the thousands of years worth of history when it comes to books and publishing and written word. This is just if AI hadn't have happened, it would have been an amazing moment where up until Amazon and Kindle, if you wanted to publish a book, you had to go through a publisher, you had to get a deal. It was still a gated thing, and then suddenly that opened up and anyone could do it. And this AI revolution is going to make it easier for anyone to write a book, and so it really opens it up that you can produce a book. So from an ethical standpoint, I'm really excited by the idea that it kind of democratizes that ability to be able to have a book that's your own, right? That it's no longer an elite thing. It's something that we can all aspire to. From an ethical standpoint, of course, it'll have to be labeled, and it'll have to be approved that, this is AI supported versus AI generated. So what our tool hopes to do is to take the place of what would be otherwise a writing assistant. So Malcolm Gladwell, famous author, when he's writing a book, he's going to have someone doing research and helping with coming up with analogies and structuring the chapters. So what our AI does is that it creates a perfect reader. It identifies all the key questions that perfect reader has about the topic. It helps you to come up with analogies that the reader would understand. It helps you to find the research to back up the key points that you want to make. It then keeps you on track with your writing schedule and tells you when you're likely to finish the book and be ready to publish. And then it tells you if you're slipping behind. It kind of extrapolates that forward to give you a bit of a kick. So it's doing all of those kind of research assistant things, and all the books will be labeled that it was AI assisted in the authoring process.
Is that okay? Well, Spencer, if you can just come this way, we'll get your question from you. We just want to get a bit of light on you. As somebody who's produced thousands of pieces of content for brands and myself, we've only ever seen the volume of content that exists on the planet go up. And as human beings, we have BS detectors and we naturally create rank and file. That's the reason why we tend to top out at a certain number of YouTube channels that we follow or Instagram channels that we follow. And so what will happen is, of course, as always, the cream will rise to the top. Just because there's going to be more volume doesn't mean that the human's capacity is going to increase, because we only have 24 hours in a day and so many interests that help us meet our personal agendas. So I had an interesting statistic recently, which is that last year the number of books doubled. In the last year, the number of books being published has doubled, and it will double again from that number next year. But I think our capacity to consume isn't. And so we have this natural BS radar. If something will do well or not, it's kind of like fighters, like warriors in the Colosseum. It's like two fighters can fight and then one can kill the other in the Colosseum, but that doesn't mean that the warrior who's still alive is the winner. He has to look around the Colosseum and then people do this. It's live or die. Has anybody seen Gladiator, the movie? They've seen this live or die, right? This is die. What's this on the internet? What's this on Facebook? It's a like, right? So then the cream will rise to the top. Caesar, who makes the final choice, is your personal choice. It's the algorithm and what it chooses to increase. So I think we can comfortably predict that's going to be one of the outcomes. Spencer.
Thanks for this putting this on tonight. Nice to see you guys. So our mutual friend Mo Gaudat sees AI completely differently to you guys. And he was the former CEO of Google X and has watched AI develop over the years. And in all the time I've spent talking to him about it, there's real concern as to the dangers of AI. We talk about it tonight and all of the wonders that it can bring and all the positive opportunities it can create for us, problems it can solve for us, and all of this wonderful stuff. But where does it end? What's the problem going to be? And how serious do you think it really is? And what can we do to protect ourselves against that?
That's a very, very big question. I just think of AI right now. The reality is that we call AI co-pilot. However, we're in the stage where we need to co-parent AI rather than co-pilot it. There is a lot of supervision that needs to come on top of it. I also don't know whether the right way, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know whether the right way is by actual laws and regulations, because that can also stifle the progress of it. So I think we need to find some sort of a balance and equilibrium between how much power we give to AI and how much we retain. I think we will always have the last decision always needs to be human, I would say. Like AI can give you the information, AI can give you the direction, AI can show you things you didn't know exist. But after all, the decision needs to be, at least from how I view it, needs to be human. We cannot just outsource the decision to an artificial intelligence.
So it's the 1700s, and all you've ever known is hundreds of people on the farm harvesting wheat, and it takes hundreds of people to do it. And then suddenly there's a steam tractor, and this thing comes along, steam harvester, and it just 3 people suddenly does the work of 100 massive automation completely transforms the way things have been done for thousands of years. And you stop the guy in the field and you say, well, what does this mean? And you go, I have no idea, right? Because it's the beginning of a new revolution. And we don't know that on the other side of steam engines and electrification and industrialization, we don't know, you can't ask someone who's only ever experienced agricultural age what the industrial age will bring. So we have to acknowledge that we are industrial age beings. We grew up in the industrial age, and we're now alive at the time where we're switching across to this strange digital age, and we can't see around the corner because it's too much of a paradigm shift. We don't know what it's like. Like super simple things that we take for granted, like a doctor is a elite position in society, and we don't have enough doctors, and doctors get paid a lot of money and all of that sort of stuff. We don't know what it's like in a world where everyone's got the best GP possible, freely available all the time, and we just don't even need GPs, right? So we don't know what that world is like, and we don't know what it's like when all the things we currently call jobs are not jobs, and that we now find other things to do. And maybe we all run TED conferences. Maybe this is a job now. Maybe getting together in a bar and talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is a new job. YouTubing and gaming and all these things, maybe those are new jobs. But the first thing is just to acknowledge that we're at the dawn of a massive societal shift at the scale of going from agriculture to industrial. And it's challenging because our brains are just not built for it. Everything you've ever known is built around a system that is at the very end.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll end with this then, before we give our incredible guests a round of applause. It's that one of the things that we teach in the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the course that I've written is that it is an age shift. We try to get people to debate the question, how big a shift is AI? And you can casually say it's as big as the mobile phone, but the reality is we've gone from the information age, which is a town crier standing in the middle of the town screaming about what the weather's going to be or who's had a baby in the village, right through to stuff being printed on papyrus. That's the information age. Then move all that forward right up to, the press and TV. And then you move into the application age, which is that 2 bits of information can talk to each other, and your phone will tell the cab driver where you are, bring the taxi over to you, take you where you need to go, apply your credit card details and make the payment. And now we're moving into the intelligence abundance age, and we are at the very beginning of that. And certainly from behalf of myself and Vic, Creative Content Agency and Content Strategy.ai, we thank you so much for giving us your attention. We hope you can continue to contribute to this dialogue with our incredible guests, who I believe deserve a massive round of applause. Thank you so much.